Hello friends, in this video we are going to clone Zoom app, and in the end of this video we are going to have application like that with a login page. You can log in with Google and then we go to the main screen. I want you to see this is actually the real Zoom application. We are going to use this widget here and this cool buttons and this button navigation bar here, which is going to allow to show our meeting history and the context and settings, which is going to log us out. And also all of that is easy, so we will focus in creating a new meeting with this cool package jitsi meet, which allow us to have a meeting like that, which have the camera here, hello, and you can chat and you can share your screen, which is very important, which can also allow a lot of features here. Also, we are going to learn how to join a meeting with the room ID and your name, and you can join a meeting. As you see, you are now joining a meeting and you can invite others to this meeting. In this video, we are going to focus in creating meetings and joining meetings and how to use this cool package here and solve the issues that we are going to have, because the documentation is not that well. But here in this video, as fast as we can, we are going to make this two button going to work, and everything else in the application like authentication with Firebase and saving the user's data in the collection and meetings data here for everyone. It's going to be separate in another video, so I don't waste your time. If you just want to know how to create a chat video or a Zoom video call, as you can call it, first here, this package allows us to make an app for Android, iOS and the web. But in this video, because I don't have an updated Mac or an iOS iPhone, so we are going to create it for Android, and the steps is easy for the iOS. Maybe it's easier than Android. And also I want you to know that this package allow us to use minimum SDK for version 24, not 23. 23 is not working with me. Okay, so let's start a new project and let's work on the material app here. So let's add, let's disable our debug banner. Also, let's add a title as a clone zone, and we are going to use this theme. I want you to know everything in this tutorial is going to be in the project or the repo in the GitHub, but I will put the link of it in the description. So don't worry about designing the app, just focus on how to create the main important things. After that, we are going to define our route, and I would like to do this in the start of the project. So let's delete home, because we're not allowed to use home with initial route. But before we can use the routes, we have to add our pages here. So let's create a login screen and a home screen and meeting screen and video call screen for now. So let's create a new folder and call it screen. And in screen folder we are going to add a login, and in that folder we are going to add this screen here. Now let's create a stateless widget for every class. Just for now, and in my pages I prefer to use a static constant string to just call or to just store the data of the class or the meaning of the class. So now we can add our roots here in this map, which is going to be the login ID for the string, but we call it like this so we don't make mistakes. And we can also add the home screen and video call screen. We are not gonna actually need the meeting screen ID here, so leave it till we need it. Now let's open the login screen and work on the login screen, but before that we need a file here which is the assets with an image, and I will put this image in the project in the GitHub so you can add it. And after that we go into the box text, and let's uncomment these two lines here, and go back, and here we are going to use assets slash images slash, and don't forget to pop get so we can use the updated packages. Also, let's add the packages first that we are going to use. The main package here in our project is going to be the jitsi version 4. It's the last version. And for the Firebase, we are going to use these 4 packages. And for the sign-in with Google, we are going to have these 2 packages here. And after that, pop get, right? So in the login screen, we are going to return a save area which have a child, a scaffold with this, which have this background color, and for the body we are going to return a center widget with a column. So the first thing in the column is going to be the image. After that we are going to use a size box. After that we are going to use our sign-in button package, and this button called by the package that we installed before. Oh, one more thing, let's have an initial root here, which is going to be our login screen for now. And before we run, I want you to know this package have setup to do. So let's comment it and let's run our application to make sure that we are going to build the UI with no issues. The first one is so exhausting. I forgot that Firebase is required to have a minimum SDK for 19. So let's edit it, but as I told you, let's do it minimum SDK for 24. Because this package requires 24 or more to run smoothly, or even to run actually. It's not going to run in all the SDK actually. So let's navigate to our next page, which is going to be our home screen. So let's use this ID that we created before. Now our home screen is empty, so let's work on this page. We are gonna to add a scaffold with a background, and let's add an app bar which is going to have the same color of the background with elevation 0. After that we are going to have a button navigation bar which requires a button navigation button which have some features like background and selected item color, unselected item color, and so on. And in this navigation bar is going to be the button navigation here. So it's need an items. So let's add a list of widgets or a button navigation bar items which requires an icon and label for now. And I will put the link of this code, as I told you before, in the GitHub. So you don't need to write all of this once again. Now we need to set up the on tab and the current index and the body of this page here. Of course, when we use a button navigation bar, it's going to have a different page for every index here. So we need a list of pages. So let's create a list of type widgets, can call it pages. And in these pages, we are going to need a main screen widget and also another history meeting screen and some text to show the context and a button for the logout. And we can add a text button for the logout function. Let's tell him about the meeting screen. The history screen we didn't create it for now, but we are going to just comment this line and double this because we need a 4 pages for these 4 items here. Also, we need an integer. This is not going to be a constant anymore. We need an integer that determines the page index or what index we are, and we are going to use this index here to show the widget depending on this index here. Now the current index is going to be this variable here, and for the onTab function we need a function that sets the state of this page when changing this current index. So let's create this function here, but before that we need to convert this class to stateful. So here let's create this function, and here we are going to set the state, which is going to take an integer as a parameter, and let's set the state with the new index that's auto generated when you tap on each item here. That sounds great. Let's hot reload. Okay, we have something wrong here. The home screen is not going to be constant, so let's delete this constants here. Now let's sign in, and we have this bottom part here. Now we are going to start working here in the meeting screen, but as you remember, we had here 4 buttons. If you remember these 4 buttons, so we need to create a widget for these buttons here. So let's create a new folder for the widget, and let's create a folder for the home meeting button. So again, I won't waste your time creating all of this text here. It's simple widgets that we all already know as a Flutter developer. So you will find all of this code in the repo in the GitHub. After that, we are going to have a row with the meetings buttons that we created before. So let's tell them about that meetings. Every button have an onPressed for a function and text and a color. Here we are going to have a function that's going to create a new meeting, and here we having a function that joining a meeting with the context when the context that we are going to use later. Let's hot reload and see what we got here. Nice. Now it was the easy part, creating the clone of the Zoom app. And now we are going to need this package to work with us, and I am going to follow up with you line by line till we run this package. So the first thing, of course, we are going to add it to our pub/spec and git or pub-get this here. And now let's follow up with the documentation. I said I won't work for iOS, but I think it's easy steps that you can handle it, I guess. And as I said before, I don't have an iOS or updated Mac, so I will work on Android. So the first thing that we are going to do is dealing with our Gradle in the app level here. So let's open Android and app and build Gradle here. As I told you before, the first thing we are going to add a minimum SDK 24, and for the targeted SDK, it's now for Google 33, and it's okay to do 30 maybe. And let's add a multi-dex enabled. We are going to need this, of course. And one more thing here that I do in every project, I use the latest version of the SDK version or compiled SDK version, so I don't get any issues. This was for the build Gradle for the app level, and we have another build Gradle here. And for this build Gradle for the Android level, we need to use this minimum Gradle. I think I will leave it like that with you right now, and if we have a trouble, we are going to update it later, because it says a minimum. So I think we are on the version 7. It's okay, it's great. Okay, for the Gradle wrapper, you will find it here. I think everything here is the same as this. However, we need to use 5.6.4, but I said before I'm gonna to use this. And the most important step in the Android manifest file here, we're going to add this line here after our package name. Also, don't forget to add this line here in the first line in the application. We did this before. Now we have one more thing, which is this file here, ProGuard. And for that, we are going to create a file in the app level besides the build Gradle here. So let's create a new directory here and call it ProGuard-rules.pro. No, not start. And let's paste this code here. You will find all of this code also in the project. Okay, one more thing in the app level. After that, we are going to add some lines here. We are going to add these 3 lines. So let's use these lines. And I think that's it. Let's run the app again and check that everything is working or not. I think there is an error here. Okay, let's just delete this for now and run the app again. Okay, let's sign in. No issue happened, so everything is working. So let's go to the next step. So now the application is working, and that means that there's no issue with the run of the app. If you face any issue here, just leave a comment and I will help you. You can call me in the Instagram account. I will be glad to help you. Okay? Now we are going to work for these 2 functions here, but I think we missed something. Oh, the text here we are going to add expanded widget with center and text. Now let's create a function called create a new meeting for creating and joining a new meeting here. And this function is asynchronized. But before we do anything here, we need to create a new folder or a new file that's going to handle the jitsi functions for us. So let's create a model for the jitsi meet methods, and here we will create a class called jetMeet methods, which is going to have our methods that we are going to use. Also, before we start anything, when we are going to enter any meeting, we need 3 strings or 3 values, which is going to be a string for the room name, and another one for the username, and another one for the image URL. So let's set these values manual. So we are going to set this for this value for now, because we are not going to use a Firebase to get this data for us in this tutorial. And we are going to need this data here in this class. So the first function in this class, so we will need a create meeting function here, which is going also to be asynchronized and return nothing, which is going to require a room name and 2 Boolean values for the audio and video, and also the username. And as you know, every asynchronized function, it's have to be a try and catch, because it's trying to get the data. If failed, just print the error. And if we go here to the documentation of this package, it says that we need feature flags and options and this line here. So the first thing is we are going to add is our features flags, and after that we are going to use the options, and which is going to have your username and other data that we are going to edit right now, also joining the meeting. Of course, we need to just import this package here to remove all of these errors. And here we don't have this here, we don't have an email, so let's remove this. Also for the avatar, we have this URL in this page here, and for the flags we need to import this package. And here we can add actually a lot of flags here. You can edit a lot of these features, but I think it's not working. I tried to disable the invitation, but it didn't work for me, and all of this didn't work. So I think we can just leave the resolution, which is very important. The resolution is working. You can use whatever you want. In my case, I would use the lowest resolution here. And here we are going to pass the username, which is going to be I think we won't passing it here because we're just using it, but if we dealing with Firebase later, we are going to pass it here, okay? And also we're going to pass these 2 values and the room number from outside this page. Here we need to use just the username and URL image. And I think that's it for this file here, which we have to add for folder called config. So let's move it here, and let's go back to our meeting page here. So now we can create a final instance from our class that we created now, which we are going to use here in this function to create a new meeting, which requires this data. So I told you before, we are going to use the room name, which is going to be this room name, and is the audio enabled or not. And for the audio and video, we are going to set it to true. And the thing here, we create a separate class for this meeting method, because we are going to call another method here. So first thing, we are going to need to generate a room name or a random room name. So I think we are not going to use this. So let's import the mass package and use the random function here to generate a number of 6 numbers. So we are going to add 6 zeros. It's going to have a random number between these 2 values and turning it to a string, and use this value here in this function here. So now we can use this function down here, run the app and check everything is working or not. Please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Let's stop the application at this step and run the application again. As we see here, we have a Gradle error. So let's come back here to the build gradle of the Android level. Okay, because we are using Firebase, we couldn't use 3.6.3. So if it didn't work with version 7, you can use a version 4.1.0. This version that I'm using most of the time. And as you see, it gives you a warning, a small warning about Gradle caching. And don't worry about that, it's just a caching problem. And you can just clear the cache in this folder here. You can go to your main project here and you will find a hidden folder named .gradle, and you can delete this cache and run your application again. But after you restart your machine, your complete machine, you can just restart your machine, or you can restart your Android Studio with invalidate caches, because you are going to have some problem and you won't know what the issue is. So this fixed it for me. Also, I restart my real phone here, and my machine and everything is working okay. So let's wait till the Gradle starts building. And by the way, it's going to take so much time. It took me an hour, maybe because I have a weak connection, internet connection in this place. But I think it may be different from PC to another, and from the hardware or the processor of the machine to another one. So be patient and don't hurry up the machine. And if you have an issue, please leave a comment with the issue, and you can also contact me on the Instagram. As I told you before, I will be glad to help you. And now it's installing the application in my phone here, and now the application is running. Let's sign in and try to create a new meeting and see if everything is working or not. Great, we are connecting now, and voila, we have Zoom clone application. You can also ask for permission and camera and microphone. Also, as you see, it's have a picture in picture mode. Also, the camera is working. Hi, and you can chat. And as I told you before chatting, you have to enter your name. So let's give it a Ramy and test it. You can now chat in the meeting or the Zoom meeting. Also, you have a lot of features like select the sound device for your speaker or headphone. Also, you can share your screen. You can do more of stuff here. Now let's end this meeting and start working on the join screen here. Now we want to build a join screen like the original here in this application. We need meeting ID and the name of the one who is joining, and a join button. Also, you can select to mute audio or video before you log in. Now let's come back to our application and start working on the join screen. And for that, we are going to create a new screen here in the video call, and this video call screen is going to be our join meeting screen. So let's start working on that. But before that, we need a widget or a button, option button like this here in this screen. So let's create a widget that we can use in this screen. So let's go to widget folder and create a new Dart and name it meeting button options. And here we are going to use this code from the repo. You can find the link in the description, as I told you before, because we don't want to waste our time. Here we are using a switch widget.adaptive to show Android version or for the iOS. If you have an iPhone, it will show up like this, and if you have an Android, it will show like the application that I showed you before. Also, it has a value and on a change function that we are going to pass later in this page here. Okay, so here in this video call screen, we are going to replace this container with a scaffold, and the scaffold have the same background. And let's add an app bar, and all the settings of the app bar you can just copy it from the code in the description of this video, because I don't want to waste your time, you know. Okay, yeah, I just want you to take what is useful for you, what you are searching for. In the body, we are going to have a column because we are going to list some widgets here, and the first thing in this column is going to be our meeting ID controller, that you are going to enter your ID or chat meeting ID, and all the setting like this to show like the original application. As you know, you can edit whatever you want to edit, you know. After that, we need an index for the name. After that, we add in a size box to give some space, and then we have the equal button that is going to be our join button. After that, we having a size box. Of course, here is muted or not is going to have a function for is muted or not, and also for the video, and also on changing. We are going to define these functions right now. But before that, we are changing our stateless widget here to a stateful. So we are going to change the state of the buttons. After that, we'll need an editing or text editing controller for the text editing field. Add two late text editing controllers. Also, we are going to need an instance from this class that we created before. So let's import it here. And we will need two values or two volume values for the audio and video. Since we have a text editing controller, and every controller we have to dismiss it and initialize it when the page starts, so we are going to override the inState methods here, and inside it we are going to initialize the meeting controller ID or the meeting ID controller, and we are setting it for an instance of text editing controller. After that, we are going to initialize the name controller and give it an initial value for the name. Of course, as I said before, we didn't initialize the Firebase in this tutorial, so we are going to need this username here. So let's enter this username, and of course it's defined here so it can read it. So when we start the application or the widget, we are going to find the username here in the text field. After that, we are going to override the dispose function here, and we are disposing the both of the controllers. So we don't forget, we have to dispose the jitsi meet engine or the main jitsi that creating the meeting for us. So let's just remove all listeners from this jitsi meet, because this is responsible for showing the meeting features and all of that. Now let's go back here. After we set these two values to true, we need to create two functions to change it when user press the button. So for the audio, we are creating a function that take a polling value and setting the state with the new value that we took from the switch button. The same here for the video, and now we are using these two functions here for switching our buttons. Now we need to join the meeting or go to meeting screen when we are tapping the join button. So we are going to create a new function called join meeting, and it's going to be private, so no one use it outside of this class. I mean, everything is secure, but we should do it private, I guess. So let's create this function here. As I told you before, we need this instance here because we are using it to create meeting function that we created here in this class. Here in this class here, we are passing the room name and the audio feature and also the audio feature. So we are creating a meeting with the room name that we took from the text meeting ID text from the text field, and also we have these two options here from our switches, and the username also setting it from the text field, because if the customer or the user change the name from the text field here, where it is, here, if the customer change his name, we are using the new name. Okay, that one's great. Let's hot reload or hit hot restart and see if everything is working. So let's open the join meeting screen. Oh, we forgot to add the navigation to this class here. So the name of this video call screen. So let's go to our meeting screen, or home screen actually. Here in the home screen, in meeting screen, we have a join button here. We are navigating to the new screen. But I see that we have something here. I don't know when I wrote this. But now let's hot restarting and join the meeting, and it's now joining the meeting and enter any number. Actually, you can press or enter any number for the room instead of auto-generated it from creating a new meeting, and we can change the name and call it join, and we can joining now the new meeting, and voila, we are now joining a new meeting. Also the camera is working and all the features is working very well. And for these switches, if we mute just the audio, we can find it muted here, or it's asking not muted, actually, sorry, and you can edit it as you want. I think that's it for this tutorial, because I don't want it to be so long. In this video I was just explaining and focusing on creating a new meeting and joining a new meeting with this package here, jitsi meet package. I think it's pretty old, but it's just working very good, and you can make a lot of ads with it. In the next video, or the video you'll find in the end of this video or in the description, I will continue the work for creating the meeting history and the sign in and log out function for this application, and also for authentication user or saving the user's data in Firebase so we can use it in the clone page. I think this is important for you to build a complete app that you are going to deploy on the store. And that's it. If this video was useful for you, even for 1% information, please like this video and subscribe. Thank you. Goodbye.